All right, so we are live again here on YouTube, and this is kind of an extenuation of the secrets of being beautifully and powerfully you. This beautiful lady beside me and I met really in a workshop. It's not a workshop. Like, what do you call it? Well, I guess we technically did meet at at the workshop. Then
Yeah.
we spent an incredible year together, and we basically were partners most of the year. She really
Yeah.
paired us up for a lot of stuff. So Sonia and I I feel like we became pretty close, and I just love her to pieces. But as I've watched her over the last 3, 4 years since it's been that year, I've watched her really step into her own and move across the country and make some hard decisions and really dive into discovering her own design, human design specifically, and
Hmm.
become quite the expert in that. And she's also an expert in Kundalini yoga and a whole bunch of other stuff that she's dove into the last couple years. And a couple months ago, we kind of hopped on Facebook, I know, and we talked very briefly about her human design reading for me. And I was um, really like taken back at that moment, and I have it open on my computer to read again because I know there's so much that when you do a reading like I didn't get. But I just wanted to invite her on because just like other tools like astrology, um, that Angel talked about, and meditation and self-reflection and inner child work and the whole bit. Human design is a science that I find just absolutely spot on for me. It's been the most clear for me, most easily accessible and understanding for me. And maybe it's because I really love energy. Um, but I wanted to bring you on to just talk about you stepping into your own human design and the freedom. I love that story that gave you. And then to just learn more about this awesome tool that we have called human design. And then, of course, share that you're like the best when it comes to reading.
Thank you. Um, yeah, I mean, when I first heard about human design, I was like, whoa, this is really just giving me permission to be who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I had always been a person who had multiple interests and passions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because of like my childhood programming, I judge the fact that, I changed directions and I changed my mind. And then once I learned that I'm a manifesting generator, which is one of the energy types in human design, I learned that it's correct for me to kind of to redirect myself. And, once something is no longer lighting me up, then I have to leave it and move on. So that was so liberating because I could finally, just be okay with being how I am. And then I learned other things. You know, One of the things was that I thought, well, often people tell you, like, you need to know exactly what you want and you need to make a list and be specific. And actually, for me, it turned out that I'm not supposed to be specific, and I'm supposed to just have more of like an open palm instead of like grabbing, what I want, but just focusing more on like how I want to feel, and just more general
Mm-hmm.
and open to what
I remember
comes.
you telling me that about me too. And so you reminded
Mm-hmm.
me of that as like, because again, I'm trying to make these lists. This just
Right.
happened, you guys. Actually, this is trippy. So I've been really focusing on creating during this time inside. And as you focus on creating, like my crack comes back so I can go deeper and heal and all the cracks. I started getting really specific. And right when I started getting really specific, that's when like everything ceased.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, like the last couple days, weeks, I mean, not only did they cease, they went backwards. And since then, I opened up my hand again and things are beginning to open. So this is super powerful what you're just shared, but there's not everybody's like that too.
Right. Some people are supposed to be more specific, and it's okay for them to make lists and vision boards and create a 5-year business plan. But you still have to check in, with your authority, which is how you're supposed to make decisions according to human design. And it's not in the mind, as we've learned to overanalyze every decision. It's in the body. Just different, different people have different authorities. But so you're supposed to still check in with your authority, whether your desires are actually your desires, with whether they're exciting to you, or whether it's just something that society has taught you that was a good thing to want. So even for specific people, you still have to discern that. So yeah, I mean, there are many levels of and
there's different authorities, right? And I don't really understand them. So I'm gonna this is partially for me, which is kind of odd. But what I noticed in the interview series we did last week, some people were teaching about heart, some people were teaching about head to heart, right? And some people were teaching about gut to heart. So I'm just wondering, because I know for me, it's sacral. But I don't really understand what that means. We're supposed to feel that either.
Right. Yeah, no, it can be really hard at first. So sacral authority, usually manifesting generators and generators are governed by the sacral. And the sacral represents desire and excitement. So it's that feeling in the body that's, but you have to know that the sacral does not respond well to open-ended questions. So if you ask the sacral, what do I want to do with my life? It can't respond. But if you give it some options, like, I don't know, do I want to eat a salad or drink juice today? Like, maybe it'll be excited about one of those options, or ask it yes or no questions. So I don't know, do I want to go for a walk right now? And you start small. You start on the, daily things, what you eat, what you drink.
Oh, that makes me excited.
Right. It's like that feeling, like maybe you sit up straighter in your chair, like maybe you feel kind of pulled towards it. But yeah, it is that that kind of desire feeling. And
okay.
So
I like that. Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense, because that is how I feel it. So the people that have gut feelings.
Yeah, exactly. And I
that's different though, right?
No, I mean, that's the sacral. The gut is the sacral.
Okay.
And that's like your flavor of intuition. And if I remember, you also have a filled in spleen in your chart, I think.
This is why I have to read it. This is why I have to read it again. But
so the spleen is more, because both the sacral and the spleen kind of react in the moment, but they're different kind of energies. So and so the sacral speaks in the moment. You will know, and it can't predict the future, so it only really knows how it feels right now. And especially for manifesting generators, this is really important, like not to make a lot of plans far in the future, because that can limit our spontaneity and all that. But and the spleen is kind of the oldest energy center. And if you have a filled in spleen in human design, it's more of that. It also speaks in the moment. It speaks once. It doesn't repeat itself, and it doesn't have to make sense. But the spleen is all about like survival instinct. So it speaks like in intuitive hits, but it's a different, because the sacral is all about excitement and desire, and the spleen is all about survival. So that's where our intuition lives, like the intuitive hit kind of intuition, but also our fears live in the spleen. So, and if you have a filled in spleen, you have like your own fears that you need to deal with. And if you have an open spleen, you kind of feel the fears of others. So wherever we're like white in our chart, that's where we take in the world. And wherever we're filled in, our energy centers, that's where we have our own definition, and we kind of set the tone in those centers.
Yeah. So I know that human design has given you a lot of insight and freedom into your own life. And you just like dove into it. And I touched on it with another group before I knew that you were into it. And I never really understood like where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
So,
nobody really talks about it, but I know that it's so accurate. It's weird.
well, actually, it came about in 1987, the year I was born. It was, I guess, this guy Rauruhu. I don't know what his original name was, but I guess after he discovered human design, that was his name. He kind of downloaded it. He was meditating in Ibiza, but it had to do with how the neutrino stream from the stars or from the universe, how it's conditioning us at the moment of our birth. So it's based on the date and time of our birth, and it's important to be specific about the time of birth and accurate, since it can change quite a bit. So
It can.
so yeah.
So can you utilize this along with, like, I know a lot of people are into astrology. It's been really popular for, forever. Have you been into astrology too? Have you looked at them together?
A little bit. I haven't actually had like a full astrology reading. Actually, I'm working on getting one. But I recently have been kind of into north nodes and how that's like, where we're supposed to go in life. And actually in human design, you also have different gates that are in different planets. So you also, North Node, I guess it's not a planet, but you have a specific gate that's your North Node, and specific gate that's your South Node. You have a gate in Sun, in the Earth, the Moon, etc. So that can provide you with clues as to like which of your gates you're supposed to be expressing more. And there's also like two parts of your chart. There's the personality chart, which personality side of your chart, which is like who you think you are.
Yeah.
And then there's the design side, which is like who you're meant to be, and it's less conscious. You might not be conscious of the design side of your chart, but so that's also interesting to look at.
That is really interesting. Okay, so the next question is, like, since you've been living with the wisdom of your design, like what has shifted, what has changed, what do you feel differently in your life, what's been the payoff, and do you do it all the time, or do you forget still, or like how does that work? Sorry, I'm getting my little candies out.
Well, I think I'm more in tune with when I'm not living according to my design. So like I can feel it in my body when I'm doing something that doesn't light me up. So if my sacral says, no to something, but I do it anyway, well, I get exhausted, I'm burnt out, and I'm just frustrated. So the not self theme comes out, which for generators and manifesting generators is frustration. Like a frustration of energy, like things are just not moving. You might be doing a lot, but not getting a lot out of it. So yeah, I guess I'm more in tune with like, when I am listening to my design and when I'm not. But obviously I come in and out of it, and it's a work in progress, and I'm constantly discovering more things about my chart, so that I revisit it often. And some things especially some of the things on the design side, I'm like, I don't know about this. Like, this doesn't feel true. Like one of my gates is like about helping people make more money, which I guess makes sense with like human design. Although sometimes I'm like, I don't know if this, so I'm like still working on owning parts of
And the
my
designer
chart.
seeing how they open up, because that could mean anything, right?
Yeah, right. And you know, I also, because there's like the wisdom in the world of like the one way you have to do things, like one of the things like being you have to know exactly what you want and have a plan. So I'm still like, you know, I still get confronted with those messages that I need to have it figured out, but I need to keep coming back to my truth and being like, no, it's okay to just not have a plan, to be where I am, be in the unknown. And yeah, so it's a
So
work
do
in
you feel more
progress.
comfortable in the unknown now that you know that it's in your
Yeah,
design? Did it give you more permission to be more okay with that? And
yeah.
also just to see clearly the judgment that your childhood gave you of you need a plan and everything planned out and laid out and put together and just so. I
Yeah,
can see where you
definitely.
come up with that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, your mother is
And
one of the most stylish women put together just to plan. Like I think pinnacle, like just from what I know of her. So I can see that. And so to have a like a more free spirit, like casual vibe would be challenging.
yeah, no, actually, no. And my dad also was like, you need to have that one passion that drives you in life. And well, funny enough, he's also a manifesting generator, so he's also into a lot of things at once. So I think it was hard for him to accept that part of himself. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what he kind of projected on me, that he wanted to have just one passion, and he kept telling me that I had to. But and another part that's really fun about human design is the profile, which is like I'm a 3/5, which like we learn through experience, the threes through like bumping up against life. So
Uh-huh.
like we're supposed to learn through mistakes, but you know, like kind of in our culture, mistakes might be perceived as failure. So
Ah,
we need to be reminded that, you know, even if you make a mistake, it's like, what did you learn from this? Not like, oh, you failed.
right.
So I feel like knowing your child's human design can be so useful, because you can like then parent them better, and encourage them instead
Yeah.
of being like, you know, kind of, yeah, criticizing them.
Right. For being different or not fitting into whatever mold that we were raised in, right? Because
Right,
we're all
right.
raised in different molds and different cultures and it just and so are our parents, right? We can't come by it completely honestly. It's just how we're taught to be human beings, right?
Yeah.
In the world. It's that nature and nurture.
And
Um,
yeah, also
yeah.
I wanted to touch on like, even with the gates and channels, like each one can be expressed in like a positive way, and a negative way. So like there's like, you know, there's the intuitive side, and then there's the fear side.
Mhm.
So it's, you know, you can learn something about your shadow too. And
Yeah.
yeah, so
And once we accept our shadows and the fact that we have them,
mhm.
better life. Better life is anyway, right? Like, I just
Yeah.
see mine with such compassion, especially during this lockdown. It's just like, oh, cool. We're going to go deeper with this. Never saw you that way
Mhm.
before. Thanks for sharing. Now I've been
Yeah.
pissed off, low grade pissed off for 44 years. Can we like stop it now? Is there a way out of this mess? But seriously, it's been really funny for me. So human design, especially like during this time, I think is just a great tool to dive into, know, or at least begin questioning. Is this like me? Right?
Mhm.
Huh,
Right.
interesting that this was in the energy energies of that time. Interesting. Do I feel aligned with this? Do I operate this way? If I accepted this way of operating, would I feel more peaceful? Would I feel better? Would I feel more accepting? Or would this be harder for me? Right. And,
Yeah. And it's all an experiment. That's why,
right.
like, you shouldn't take anything that like your design reader tells you. You should just put it into practice, see if your life flows better when you live according to your design. And if not, you can always
Go back.
discard it. And also it's, we like to be so black and white about things, but sometimes it's not all black and white. And sometimes
There's a
you feel
lot
like,
of gray matter.
yeah, and also like you might feel like things in your chart sometimes seem contradictory. Like, I'm a manifesting generator, but I'm also supposed to be consistent, so like routine works well for me. So like, isn't that kind of not aligned? But I'm like, yeah, my routine, I benefit from a routine, but it also changes often. So like, I get bored of one routine and then I need to move on to the next one.
routine.
So it's all very it's very personalized to your chart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably your personality and like your DNA too. Like what we can eat and your sleep cycle and just age and regular cycle and what's happening in life. So there's so many things to take into account when we get to know ourselves and as we get to know ourselves. But I think anything that leads us to a query, like leads us to a deeper understanding or a different way of looking at things that has some validity behind it, is worth exploring. And
definitely.
And so for human design, it was just one thing that when I began listening to and getting my head around it, I was like, oh, there's something to this. And that's why I came to you for a full reading, because I was like, I really want to know how this all fits together. And then for me, like where I dropped the ball is I haven't gone back and read it, multiple times. And it's mainly because I don't have a printer and I don't like to be up here. But but I know that I need to, just from what I learned in that one session. So how can people like get a hold of you to learn more about getting a reading, learn more about human design, or anything else that you're doing?
Sure.
What else are you doing? What's happening in your world? I still can't find my candy.
I mean, I do coaching with or without human design, but I think human design is a good base for coaching and deconditioning. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Just living.
Yeah.
And really focusing on like what I want to do, which this time has been perfect for. And allowing myself to pursue my many passions. So, but yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Coaching with Sonia. And you can visit my website, soniapetecka.com. That's SONIAPETECKA.com. So yeah, you can reach out, schedule a reading, ask me questions. And, I'm constantly learning new things. So yeah, and I love like when people reach out after their readings. So, with questions and how to implement certain things. So I'm here to support you on that. So yeah.
Yay! I might have to do that when once I reread it again. Oh my goodness.
We should connect, because I'm constantly learning new things and about human design, and I'm going deeper. There are so many layers. So yeah.
It's like life, right? So many layers. Yeah. So I don't know how long I'm going to do this series, if it even like what it is or what the series is, but I knew that when it comes to, living your best life, like any tool that we can get our hands on that is going to open us up to just wandering, just curiosity, and give us an avenue to look deeper into ourselves, is so important to know. And so at your own university, I wanted to share it and you, and my appreciation for you and your reading for me, right here. So everybody, please subscribe to Your Own University if you like to learn more about living your best life through other people like this, through the series that I just did, and of course through my weekly vlogs. Please subscribe, share this interview with your friends or anybody that has been looking at human design, questioning human design, wondering like where they can study more about themselves or different ideas, or, you know, all those like, you'll be like, oh, I listened to this interview, and feel free to share, and we appreciate it. Leave us a comment and let us know what you think. And of course, like us, because algorithms are powerful. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.